All right, so let's shift over to the crypto markets and with all the banking stuff that's been going on with Silicon Valley Bank and other banks. Jeb, you kind of want to tell the audience what exactly has been going on with a simple explanation, maybe a little bit of the history.
Yeah, I'll give the quick rundown. Basically, just of the Silicon Valley Bank. That was the big bank that sort of crashed. So they had invested billions of dollars into bonds during the low interest rate period a while ago, and then basically their business model is built on like startup companies. So they have a lot of deposits, billions in deposits from tech startups mostly. So recently the Fed began to raise interest rates to combat the rapid inflation that's happening. And because of that, the bond prices fell. So tech startups, because of the higher rates, were forced to withdraw a lot of their funds to fund their operation. And Silicon Valley Bank was left, with a massive unrealized losses. So they had to sell at a loss on their bonds, and because of that, everyone kind of went into a panic. Everyone involved with the bank, and the stock plummeted. So that was basically the downfall, sort of. And then the FDIC had to step in, and they halted trading. But that was after the stock price fell, and so there was damage done already. The situation kind of got resolved. The FDIC is going to guarantee everyone's deposits, even the uninsured, which I think 250,000 is under that is the amount that would be insured. So even all the uninsured money will be guaranteed. And pretty much the people who got sort of screwed over in this situation are just the shareholders and obviously like the upper level managers. But that singular banking crash kind of is resolved for now. But there are obviously, in terms of the entire banking market right now, it's kind of up in the air. So
Yeah, there's a lot of banks out there with some problems. There was a recent one, a Dutch bank was having some problems, and Credit Suisse, some international banks. That one actually got recently bought out by UBS. So there are a lot of banking fears out in the future. And in history, a lot of times there would be, like in 1929, I believe it was, there's a big bank run. And that's just essentially when everyone is just trying to withdraw all their funds out at the same time and the bank just gets flooded.
yeah, that's what
And
happened
that's
with
essentially
SVB
what
basically.
happened to,
Yeah.
yeah, that's essentially what happened to Silicon Valley Bank, that everyone wanted them to get out and then they sold everything. So that's essentially like, and all that needs is just a bunch of fear and like all the people. That's really what causes it, is everyone wants to get out. And so, I mean, with all these banks, coming into all these problems, really the only way it could get worse is if all of the customers of the banks end up doing like a bank run style withdrawal um, due to panic. And really, that's kind of how the stock market crashes, is everyone gets panicked and they sell. And there really hasn't been a crash. I mean, the market has definitely gotten hit, but it hasn't really taken a dive or gone down too badly. But this, in light of crypto, the crypto market as of late, because the stock market's kind of been going sideways over the last month. Since the banking news came out, it's gone, I think, down a little bit, but it's also kind of recovered a bit. But crypto, kind of in that last couple weeks, Bitcoin has gone from 20,000. I think it might have even been under 20,000. Let me check here.
It
Yeah,
was
on
at one
March
point.
10th,
Yeah.
it was under 20K and it's since rallied and it hit almost 29,000. But right now it's at 27,500. And I think in the short term, I think there could be some rally in Bitcoin, but really the overall trend for Bitcoin over the last like year, year and a half, couple years, the overall trend is down. I think it could definitely rally, break 30,000, maybe see close to 40,000. But I just have a tough time seeing Bitcoin or really any other coin get itself back up to the 60,000s or 50,000. I just think it's so far away.
In
It would
terms
have
of
to double again.
in terms of short term, you mean, or like ever?
Um, yeah, I think just for like the immediate long term, like in the next couple
Okay.
years, like maybe in the future, but I just have a tough time with how hard it fell. I mean, this happens with a lot of stocks that end up going bankrupt as as like the pump and dump. Like you got, for example, in 2018, you had, I believe it was 2018, you had the stock Tilray, and that one went crazy. That one went up to like
Yeah.
$300 in one day. And really, all the weed stocks, there's just this weed boom.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really
Which,
comparable to Bitcoin though, to be honest.
but here's the thing, like,
Because those are pretty obscure stocks, and Bitcoin is like very prominent.
I get that. Bitcoin
Yeah.
has like $1 trillion market cap. So I'm not saying it's going to be like that. Because obviously, Tilray and those stocks ended up going to zero,
Oh yeah.
essentially zero. But like Bitcoin, I don't think it's going to go to zero. But I just have a tough time seeing it get back up to that level. I think it would have to take a while for it to get back up to that level, just because a lot of money that wants to be in Bitcoin is already in it. And
Hmm.
I mean, right now it's probably priced pretty fairly at 27,500. But yeah, for the next couple of years, I just don't think it's going to move very much. It'll probably be like that for a while. And it depends on if there are any new coins or if there's any like WorldCoin or coin that's like the US, if they establish some crypto coin. There's obviously some things that could um, be a barrier to Bitcoin's growth. Now, as for other crypto, such as Dogecoin, we have seen in the last month, Dogecoin right now is at 7.5 cents. Now, in the last couple of weeks, when Bitcoin made that huge rally, like 70%, maybe might not have been that much, but it was a big rally in the last couple of weeks. Dogecoin's only gone up just a bit. Like it went from about 6 cents to 7.5 cents now. It has not moved up because typically Dogecoin would, since it has such a small market cap, moves really quickly. And if Bitcoin goes up, Dogecoin will go way up. But Dogecoin has not seen the same level of success it had
Yeah.
in the past when it had that big rally.
Yeah, that's definitely been a trend for pretty much every altcoin is bleeding against Bitcoin right now.
And yeah, it's like most of the altcoins are going down. Now, Ethereum has been tracking pretty well with it. It hasn't moved as well as Bitcoin, especially considering that it is a smaller cap crypto compared to Bitcoin. And I think Ethereum will probably track pretty close to Bitcoin, but I mean, Bitcoin is just like the classic. It's the
Yeah.
prominent. It's the biggest.
Yeah, if
And
you
if
look at
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin dominance has been going up a lot recently. I don't have a chart for that on hand, but I know it has been.
yeah, it's been making a big gap, especially between the smaller coins. Ethereum is still there, and it could still last a while for sure. But if Bitcoin does go down, all the other coins for sure are not going to make it. Especially the little ones will eventually all die out, and will end up being like Tilray. Now we'll see how Bitcoin ends up, but that's just kind of my overall prediction. I just don't think it's going to move very much in the next couple of years. And if the banks and the stock market did end up crashing, I don't necessarily think that that would be the best for Bitcoin, just because I think people are going to be pulling money out of all their sources of income with the stock market. They're going to be taking money out of that, and I think they'll probably be taking money out of crypto as well. So
Hmm.
I think Bitcoin would react negatively if the market did crash. And if the market did kind of continue sideways, Bitcoin would have a chance to rally, but we'll have to see how the market reacts. Now, a couple stocks that I have predictions for just in the short term. Um, I have a few stocks here: AMD, SOXS, which is just a semiconductor bear, 3 times leverage share ETF, and then NVDA and DUOL. I am predicting that these stocks within the next couple weeks will have their pullback. And the reason why is because I just believe that they're too highly priced right now. And I currently do have position in SOXS and a short position in AMD because I think they're a little bit overpriced. But really, that's all I have for stocks. I don't know if any of you guys have anything to chip in, but
One thing I wanted to mention, sort of about SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, is that I think I'm not too sure, but I think they're sort of unique, in the sense that they were a very large bank, but they had most of their business model was based on the venture capitalists and tech startup stuff. So that is probably the biggest reason why they're like one of the banks that did crash, and had that bank run. They The weird thing is they pretty much were following, like, they followed closely what the FDIC told them to do. So they were told to like buy those bonds during the low interest rate periods, and then they sort of just got screwed over because of their business model and because of the current like times, like the inflation and the raising of rates. Even though they didn't really deviate from what the FDIC told them to do, so they're sort of unique in that case.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how other banks react because yeah, if it's unique like that, obviously their failure doesn't have to mean
Yeah, yeah.
failure for other banks. I don't think really any of the other banks are in danger. Now, some of the international banks, I don't know too much about them, Dutch Bank and the other ones, but I don't know. I think the banking industry should be all right. It's just as long as there isn't some other bank run or panic, I think it should